Director at Rosella & Bridal and founder of the Flower Crafts Academy. I'm in the studio today to show you how to make a fabric rose using this super cool template from Clover called the Sweetheart Rose Maker. You are going to absolutely love it. Let's take a look. So this is the package that the Clover Sweetheart Rose Maker comes in. It comes in 3 sizes, small, medium and large. I'm going to be using the medium to make this rose, and it should turn out approximately this size. Okay, so this is the template. It comes with a hairpin. Don't worry, it's not for your hair, but we'll deal with that later. And you get 2 strips of special paper. Now this paper has some kind of special coating on it which makes it very durable, and you can use it hundreds of times. Basically, we're going to put a strip of fabric between the 2 pieces. We're going to pin them together, and then while stitching along the edge we are just going to fold it back up again like this. It really will be that easy. So here's my strip of fabric. Now I'm using something quite lightweight. It's basically just curtaining, and it doesn't have a right side or a wrong side, but if I was using a fabric that did have a different right side to wrong side, this on top would be the right side. I'm going to need a needle and thread, some thread maybe about as long or 1.5 times the length of my fabric. Then I'm going to take the template. Now this is the underside. It's the one with the little leaves on it, and that's going to go underneath the fabric. And I have to admit, this is probably the hardest part of all because it just wants to fold itself back up. So you're going to need something to just pop on top. This is the top with the little roses, and that is going to go on top. And we basically want the 2 pieces of paper to sit exactly on top of each other. Because I'm using this foil, it's nice and easy for me to see that that is happening. Now I want to have it quite central, so I've got about the same amount on both sides. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now over here we've got a little butterfly, and I'm going to put a pin through those 2 little holes. Now it's really important that you put the pin through the butterfly, and here's the underside, and through this hole here. If you do it the other way around, you're going to have trouble later on. Okay, turn it around, and unfortunately it's moved, so I'm just going to pop it back in again. This is where an extra hand would be very useful. Okay, so on the other side, just even it up, we have another little butterfly. There we go. Same thing, we're going to pop the pin through the butterfly and back through the hole on the other side. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim along this edge here so it's about the same, I guess you'd say, seam allowance all the way around the outside edge. And the same on the other side. Okay. So here we go. It says start. It's as easy as that. That's where we're going to start. So what we do is we do the first fold, and like I said, it wants to fold itself up nicely, so it's very easy. And with my needle and thread, I'm going to do a running stitch from this point over to this point. And there we go. And now I'm going to do the second fold. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to stitch from this point to this point. This is just a running stitch because later we're going to gather this up, so they don't need to be tiny stitches. And again, the next fold. Now the most important thing when folding is to make sure that these two pieces of fabric are together. You don't want one of those getting caught underneath in your stitches. And stitch along the line again. Same thing again. Next fold, and it just wants to fold itself back up. It's just very easy. Stitch, stitch. And then here's the last fold. And we're going to stop right here. Okay. So although it says stop here, eventually we will keep on stitching from that point to the edge there. For now though, we need to remove the paper. So the one side, here we go, this is why the pins have to be where we put them, because they'd be folded inside. If they weren't, we wouldn't be able to get them out. So there we go. Take the top one off, and the bottom one will have found itself inside, but it's quite easy to just pull it out. There we go. So this is what we've got. Okay, so back to where we finished. And I'm just going to match up the edges again, the edges of the fabric, and I'm going to sew from there. So there we go, right to the edge of the fabric. And we're finished. So this is our gathering stitch. So if I can just lay it out, twist it a little, we're going to gather this up. Just a matter of pulling it. And there we go. Now how much you gather it will affect how your rose looks. I'm going to gather this to about 15 to 20 centimeters long, and this is where we use the bobby pin. Now in the instructions it says to put the bobby pin this way, but I think it works much better this way. So just in the first stitch we're just going to thread that through, and then we're just going to start rolling from that edge. Now I'm just rolling along that gathered stitch line. Do make sure though you stay on that line. Don't start rolling up that way or down that way. And we'll see why later. We want that stitch line in the same place. So I'm just doing this nice and loosely. Just make sure that stitch line's on the line, and there we go to the edge. Now I need to finish this off, and I'm going to secure all those layers together by putting a few stitches through. But I want to make sure my needle goes straight through on top of that line of gathering stitch. And I'm just going to keep going through, back and forth, at a slightly different angle each time, because I don't want to just do it across. So for instance, I'd go from 12 to 6, and then 7 to 1, and then 2 to 8. There we go. Look at that. It's exactly on that stitch line. Just going to keep going back and forth until I've gone all the way around. Whoa. Okay, I'm coming back out where I started, and I'm just going to tie that off with a couple of knots. There we go. And let's take a look. There we go. Now in the center there we've got the bobby pin, and it's, there we go, just pop it straight out the top. Okay, now these ends here, if I wanted to put my rose on a stem, instead of the bobby pin, what I would have done is got some florist wire, bent it in half, and used that to roll it on. And then these edges here, I would just wrap florist tape around here and then all the way down the wire. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to cut it off now. Because I've got all those stitches in line, I know that if I cut here quite close to those stitches, it's going to be safe that I'm not going to be cutting any of the stitches, because there's not going to be any below that line. So I can cut fairly close and nothing's going to come undone. Okay, so basically we just need to finish this off now, and I'm going to do that with a piece of felt. Depends what you want to do with your flower, but just finishing off that with a piece of felt, I can now still go and stick that on a hat or whatever my project is. And I can pull this rose a little bit and it's not going to come undone. So there we go. There is the medium size. Yes, it's about that size. And isn't that cool? That is just the prettiest, easiest little rose to make. If you haven't already got your Clover Sweetheart Rose Maker, pop over to my shop. I've got some in stock. The address is right here, and if you're watching this tutorial on YouTube, there will be a link right below this video that you can click. Click on that link and I'll see you there. Happy crafting!